Hi everyone, my name is Macho Marathon Man and thank you so much for checking out this video. In this video, we're going to be talking about my experience running the TCS New York City Marathon. So let's get those legs loosened up and let's get ready to go. But real quickly, before we get into that, I want to give a huge shout out to all my followers on TikTok. It's a small achievement, but I want to thank everyone for getting me past 500 followers. Woohoo! If you haven't had a chance to go check out my TikTok yet, you can find me the same username here on YouTube is over there, Macho Marathon Man. Go ahead and go check out my TikTok. Give me a follow if you can. Thank you guys so much. Now let's get back to the race. We're going to start off with a quick little intro about this video. For those who don't know, the TCS New York City Marathon was held on November 3rd of this year. And if you're new to this channel, you might not have known, but it's been my goal to run this marathon for the past year or so. This wasn't my first marathon, but the first marathon I ran was in Seattle and it was like over almost 15 years ago. I was running with a time goal, but I wasn't able to come even close to that time goal. I won't go into a lot of detail about it now, but basically I had a pretty massive leg cramp around halfway through the marathon, and that caused me to almost stop running. But I was able to push past that, but unfortunately I almost suffered another one with me pushing past it. But all that said, I was still able to finish the race. It was sort of funny. If you were following me on the marathon tracking app and you were looking at my mile pace on that graph, you can almost see the exact moment that I suffered the cramp and then where I almost suffered again. You can just see these massive dips in the time. But I'll go more into those details later. I just kind of want to start everyone off on a good intro so that we're all on the same page. So the first part was just getting to the starting line. For me, the day of the marathon started super early. The starting line was on Staten Island, and for those who don't know about getting around New York, sometimes getting to Staten Island can even be a trouble, even outside of the marathon traffic. So one of the ways that the race organizers attempt to solve this problem is by offering bus transportation from all different points of the city just to get everyone to Staten Island on time for the starting race. All the information that I got from the race organizers is that the bus to Staten Island left at 6 a.m. and that I had to get there at latest 5:45 to get on a seat on a bus to get to Staten Island. That turned out to be completely not true. Maybe I just picked the wrong pickup location in the city, but there were just tons and tons of people that showed up to get transported by bus at my bus transfer location. I ended up getting there about 5:30, so about 15 minutes earlier than they said that we had to be there, and it still took me over an hour just to get a seat on a bus. And there were still tons and tons of people behind me that had to wait even longer to get on buses. So even though they said to get there at 6 a.m. for the buses, I probably could have gotten there around 7 to even 7:30 and still gotten a spot on the bus. I don't want to take that for word of truth, but still, there was tons of people. I could have easily gotten there at least 30 minutes later. But once you get through the entire line just to get a seat on the bus going to Staten Island, when you're on that actual bus, all you really need to do is just try to relax and just wait until you actually get to Staten Island. Sorry about that. I just noticed watching back the footage that there was a pretty massive glare in the window, so I closed the blinds. But with that, not bring too much attention to that, let's talk about the starting village. The starting village is where all the runners were waiting for their respective waves to be called. The New York City Marathon has about 50,000 runners every year, so to make it a little bit more manageable on the streets, they have different waves that are starting at different times so that the streets aren't just crowded with runners and everyone's just stepping on each other. I was running in wave 4, so that means that I was starting about 10:50, 11 a.m. in the morning, and because of the bus transfer, I got to the starting village around 7:40 to 8ish. So that gave me about 3-ish hours of waiting just for my wave to be called. All the waiting in the starting village turned out to be super rough on me just because of how cold it was in that morning. The way that the New York City Marathon starting village works is that you can't bag check there. So everything you bring into the starting village, you either have to run with, so you're wearing it, or you have to throw it away or donate it in specific bins. So unfortunately, I didn't want to run with a ton of clothes on, so I kind of dressed a little bit lighter. And then I also didn't want to donate a lot of extra clothes that I didn't want to donate, so I didn't wear a ton of layers. This turned out to be the wrong choice for me, because with all that waiting, I was shivering the entire time. The only thing that saved me in the end is that I eventually found out that there was a very specific area where I was supposed to be waiting. Since I was running for charity, I was running for Team for Kids, but they had a very specific like waiting area for everyone running for the Team for Kids that had like a really nice tent. I unfortunately didn't find that out until like the last 30 minutes before my wave was called. So I just was shivering the entire time until like the last 30 minutes, and then I went in there and was able to like warm up a little bit before my wave was called. The last thing I want to mention about the starting village is they had this specific area where you can go and pet therapy dogs. So it's really cute to see all the good little therapy dogs just hanging around, and just all like the runners just go and pet the dogs, and it really helped you calm down a little bit before the race. So that was a little like highlight that I didn't know about until I got to the starting village, but it was really cool to see all the dogs there. So finally, we're going to be talking about the race itself. For me, the race started off super well. I was kind of pacing myself at the beginning. The first bridge you cross the marathon going from Staten Island to Brooklyn can be one of the hardest parts of the marathon if you're not prepared for it. It has a shockingly high elevation and also goes for a really, really long time. So if you just start out the gate just sprinting super fast, you can easily burn out on that bridge and it can just ruin your marathon. But luckily for me, I did hear about that beforehand, and I did train a bit on hills. So I was able to kind of just like knowingly slow myself down for that bridge. I ended up keeping a really good pace for all of Brooklyn and most of Queens. But one thing that I wasn't prepared for the marathon that people told me about was just how loud the crowd would be for cheering everyone on. Basically, the entire length of the marathon, there was just huge crowds cheering for everyone, and just the sheer volume really caught me off guard in like a good way. Obviously, some places had more people than others cheering, but basically for that entire 26 miles, there was just a loud cheering sounds the entire time, almost to the point where I couldn't really even hear my music playing on my headphones in some sections. It was wild, but super encouraging and super just like, got you going during that run. The trouble for me when I was running the marathon really started when I hit the Queensboro Bridge. The Queensboro Bridge is another really hard part of the marathon, but what really caught me off guard on crossing that bridge was just how cold it was when I started crossing it. The temperature is kind of what I think caused me to have that massive cramp. I think the whole time I was shivering and super cold in the starting village kind of caused my muscles to stay really tight, and that I didn't properly warm them up and stretch them out before I actually started running. And then finally, when I hit the Queensboro Bridge and they had that big rapid shift of temperature when I just was running across the bridge, I think it finally caused my legs completely stiffened up, and like I couldn't bend my right knee because of the cramp, and it almost caused me to fall in the middle of the race. After my leg cramped, I really tried my best to rehydrate and stretch out my leg to try to get that cramp like under control. But basically for the rest of the race, I was really just walking and jogging my best I could without re-provoking that like cramp to happen again. And anytime I tried to pick up that pace, I really felt that like cramp coming up, and I didn't want to suffer another massive cramp. So I had to like just really keep it in check, really hit every hydration station that I could to really get those electrolytes back in my system, and just, stretch out the best I could and just manage the pain while I finished the marathon, because I definitely didn't want to stop running the marathon. I really wanted to finish it. I just think I needed to completely forget about my time goal. Unfortunately, that cramp sort of ruined the rest of the race for me. Like I said, I had spent the whole time just like managing my pain and that cramp, so I couldn't really like take full advantage of the crowd and like the experience of running up first on Manhattan and running down back on 5th and through the park. But I still really did enjoy pushing through it. I love seeing my loved ones cheer me on in the crowd. It was exciting seeing them. Whenever I saw them, it gave me a little burst of energy to finish strong. And after I finally took my last turn and finally saw the finish line and the big like arches that it had, I just could really push through and just finish. Unfortunately, I didn't capture the finish on film with this video in my head. I ran out of batteries and didn't know I ran out of batteries, so I caught like the first like 20 seconds of the like me running towards the finish line, but I didn't actually capture the finish line. But I do have like the footage from the marathon itself that has me crossing the marathon. I'm like right here in this little circle right here. So I have that at least. When I finally finished the race, it was a bit of a mixed emotions for me. Like on one hand, I was super pumped that I finished the race, and I was like really excited to get my medal. You can kind of see, like, look at this medal. It's so pretty. It's gold and beautiful. Ooh. But on the other hand, I was really mad at myself and mad at the situation that injury kind of caused me to not finish with my time goal that I wanted. But talking about my disappointment with my finish time is for another video. I'll save it for this one. But the worst part about the post race is just how long you had to walk after the finish line just to get out of the park. Like I mentioned, the finish line is in the park, in Central Park, but once you actually cross that finish line, because of the way that they set up the barriers and stuff at the race, you have to walk like basically another mile just to get out to the normal streets of the outside of the race itself. Walking that mile after the finish line just really sucked, and like everyone was almost like dead silent as we were just like all together like waddling to like the exit, all in our orange little ponchos that they gave us. We looked like traffic cones walking out there. But finally, when you navigated your way outside of the race and finally got to the normal streets, you can go find your loved ones and go do your post marathon dinner and everything you want to do, celebrating the fact that you finished the marathon. It was exciting to get back into that crowd noise after that like mile of like silent walking. So in summary, like I said, running the marathon was a huge mixed bag of emotions for me. It had a ton of highs and a ton of lows, but altogether, with everything considered, it was still 1,000% worth it in running the marathon. Running the New York City Marathon is an experience very few people get to have, and I was very proud of myself for my ability to push past the pain of my injury and finish the race. It's honestly a memory I'll never forget. But with all that said, I don't think I'm done. I really, really want to hit that time goal, and I think I'm super close if I don't get hurt again. So I think it's very, very likely that I sign up for this New York City Marathon again for next year, if not another marathon somewhere else in the country. I'll talk about my decision to run another marathon in another video if you guys are curious. This one's been long enough. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video and hearing me talk about my experience running the marathon. I also want to offer a very special thank you to everyone who's been following me here on YouTube since the beginning. I've been posting my long runs here on YouTube and just talking for about a year now, and it hasn't been easy this entire time. So I want to thank you everyone who's been with me through this journey. Like I said, I'm not done yet, so keep your eyes out for these videos and for my runs. But like I said, the journey isn't over. I hope to see everyone at the next finish line. So thanks. Bye.